Boulder, Colorado continues to mourn 10 people who died in that mass shooting at a supermarket earlier this week. This as we learn that the suspect will have his first court appearance tomorrow morning. Joining me now from Lafayette, Colorado, NBC News' Steve Patterson. Steve, we understand right now you are with two people who actually know the suspect. What can you tell us about what they're sharing with you?
Well, I can share that directly. These are two people that went to high school with the 21-year-old suspect, as you mentioned, now in custody, facing 10 counts of murder, and will expected to be in court tomorrow. But in the meantime, we can ask them. Joining me is Taylor Williams in the hat and Angel Hernandez. Both of you went to high school with Ahmaud. How well did you know him, Angel?
I knew him pretty well. I wrestled with him. We were on the same wrestling team. From what I know and from what I saw, he was such a good guy. He was a real decent man.
Yeah. Taylor?
Other than seeing him at school, I would talk to him quite often. Sometimes on a daily basis, sometimes every other day, just depending on how my day was going or his day was going, just stuff like that.
We are not establishing a motive for the shooting. That is something that police are investigating, obviously. But one of the things that we did hear was about anger issues that Ahmaud had in high school. Angel, can you speak to any instances that he got angry and explain why? We understand there was an instance on the wrestling team. Tell us about that.
Yeah, he did. He got angry once. We had to wrestle off junior varsity to varsity. Determines who's on JV, who's on varsity. Unfortunately, he lost. He got angry and he threatened to kill all the wrestlers and yelled at the wrestling coach. But, after that, I never wrestled with him again.
So he was cut from the varsity team, essentially, and then yelled, "I'm going to kill you" at the team?
No, he wasn't cut. He was cut because of what he did.
Because what did he do?
He lost. He threw his headgear and he was like, "I'm going to kill you guys." And he was just, I didn't think he meant any of that. If you really got to know him, I didn't think he was going to do nothing like that. All of us were kind of shocked. But, just the way he acted and stuff and what he said, they got to take precautions with it.
Taylor, we've also heard about bullying in high school and hearing that he was bullied and perhaps bullied because of his faith as a Muslim. Can you talk to that?
So I would witness racial slurs, people making fun of his last name.
You heard the slurs?
Yeah. And then I would hear it all, the whole 9 yards.
What did they say to him, Taylor?
They would just make terrorist jokes with him. And, as much as I would love to give out the story, I just don't feel comfortable talking about what they said.
Did he become angry because of those comments, the things that people would say to him?
So I believe that it got to a certain point where he couldn't handle it anymore, and it's just his anger went from there.
And those instances of anger, guys, led to fighting, as far as we heard. Can you describe an instance where there was a fight?
I wasn't involved or saw any of the fights. I did hear about some of them. Where there was a kid in high school in the classroom and, he made fun of his last name because of the name he had. And, I just think all, the nonstop of being racist, and all the bad stuff they're saying to him, who wouldn't want to, get tired of it? Sometimes, at a certain point he was going to snap. But, I knew that he was dealing with anger issues and, if he got mad, sometimes he couldn't control himself. But besides that, there's nothing bad about him. It breaks my heart to see it, and it's just super shocking.
So as far as you could tell, the bullying was nonstop. It was often. And the bullying would lead to instances of outbursts and anger and some fighting. Did he have a support system? Did he have a friend group in high school that he could rely on and talk this stuff out, Taylor?
I don't know if he had a support group or not. He did hang out with a couple kids here and there. He'd be shy and quiet. He would talk to me occasionally, just check up on me, and I would check up on him. Most days he didn't want to talk about anything, and I didn't want to force it and push it, so.
Angel, you saw him after high school, right? Just maybe a few months ago.
Yes, sir. About a month and a half, 2 months ago.
What happened in your meeting? What did you guys talk about?
a DoorDash order. I went into their restaurant, and he's like, "What are you doing here?" And so I told him, I was like, "I got a DoorDash order," and he's like, "Nice." And he's like, "How you doing? It's been a minute." And I was like, "I'm doing all right. I've been going through some stuff." And I asked him how he was doing. He's like, "I'm doing pretty good." And he asked me, he's like, "Let's hang out sometime." I was like, "Yeah, of course. God bless you." I left, and then I hear about this, and from seeing him then and now, it's just like, what did someone say something to him? Did they do something? Because to see this, I never really thought this was ever going to happen.
There had been reports of him being paranoid and isolated. Did you get a sense of that the last time you saw him a few months ago?
No, sir.
No.
The last time I ever saw that was back in about 2017.
This is high school.
Yes, sir. He was just, he'd look around and he was a little paranoid, but nothing, out of the ordinary that, caught my attention too much. But, we never really got into deep conversation about it, nothing like that. And, I don't know what was going on through his head, and I don't know what happens behind the closed doors. I just know is that I don't want people to make him seem like he's a terrorist. I got to know him. I got to wrestle with him. Yeah, he had his flaws, but he was a good guy. He's a good guy, believes strong in his faith, and, I send my prayers out to him and most certainly to everyone, who lost somebody.
Guys, thank you so much. Thanks for talking to us. Really appreciate it. That is a portrait of the suspected shooter from his days in high school, from people that knew him, were on a team with him, were friends with him, knew him in the hallways, and knew about the problems and challenges that he faced. All part of, obviously, what makes up a complex picture of a person, but certainly part of the investigation moving forward as well. Eamon?
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.